with Cali Moto TV. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the garage, and welcome back. The 2021 Ducati Panigale V2 is up on the lift for major surgery. That's right, today we are finishing the brake system. You guys may have seen the last video, the lower part of the brake system, the rotors, the stylema calipers, and the Ferroto brake pads went on last episode of the V2 build. This episode is not going to be the brakes. That will be the next episode, so stay tuned. But today we are working on the brakes. We're gonna tear down the brakes and get the upper fixed. Today's video, we are working on the side covers of the Ducati Panigale V2. Bogna wants to race the V2 this year, so we've got to get it prepped. So a new case cover is going on this side. Woodcraft, I think we've got over there. And then on this side, we've got a GB Racing that's got to go under here. Now, being that we've got to dig into this, we've got to remove all of the fairings, which is kind of tedious, so we're not going to run through that. But on the flip side, tomorrow the bike is going into the shop. I haven't had time to really work on these bikes. Today is hopefully going to be a marathon day. So if you guys don't see an outfit change in multiple videos, today's the day we're going to be working on the S1000R. We've got the new exhaust for the Street Fighter. I'm going to try to tackle that today. But Bogna's bike is actually going into a shop tomorrow. Scuderia Performance in Winters, California. Steve Collins, thank you, sir. He's the one that did the cartridge. If you guys haven't noticed, Bogna got new cartridges in here. So he took out the forks, and Jerry over at GP Frame and Wheels got all of the cartridges installed. I text Steve and I was like, Steve, look, I don't have the time, and Bogna really wants the exhaust on this bike. So stay tuned because we'll have a little video for that. But again, today what we're gonna be doing is case covers. So if you guys are interested in that, stick around. I'm not gonna walk through the fairing removal. We'll do a live time lapse of me taking everything apart, and then we'll remove this side, the other side, get you guys going. So let's get the chesty cam on and let's get to work. All right, so like I said, today's video, we're gonna be tackling the right side, the clutch side. We're going to be putting a Woodcraft replaceable cover on the one side, and on the engine oil side, we're going to be replacing or adding on a GB Racing case cover for this side. Now stay tuned because the next video is going to be this stuff. Brand new Brembo RCS 17. Then we have the Performance Technology bar end, which we'll put on in that video, and the new Jet Prime little button. Keep this kind of clean. We've got to take some of this down, so we're going to be removing all of this and replacing that with that. Just to give you guys a little look, we've got two exhaust systems here. One's for Bogna, one's for me, and then we have the S1000 single R Bestum carbon fiber. All has finally come in. We were waiting on a piece that was on back order. I think the tail was on back order. So the S1000R is going to be getting some video stuff done. But we're going to be removing basically the upper fairings all the way to the lower and keeping these off for Steve for the exhaust. So let's go ahead and time lapse through and get these fairings removed. All right, so with the side fairings off, you will have to remove all of the fairings, even this little battery cover area, because you're gonna have to access in between behind this hose, okay? So in the GB Racing, you're gonna receive the cover, which is 1, 2, 3, 4 mounting points and 4 bolts. So you're gonna have to take out 4 bolts. I believe it's 1 back here, 2, 3, 4. And then this stays on, and this just covers on. Now the only issue that we're gonna have is getting to the back little bolt right next to the battery. You can see there's one right there. We've got to access that one. So we're gonna remove 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts, slide the cover on, and then go ahead and tighten them down. GB is very good. They tell you 8 Newton meters on each of the bolts. All the bolts are the same size, so sometimes with these GBs, one's longer than the other, but they are all the same. And you're gonna torque them in 1, 2, 3, 4 bolt sequence, so all the way around. So let's go ahead and remove the 4 bolts that we got. We'll use this as reference. 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right, so we're gonna get in and remove bolt number 1. Bolt number 2, 12 o'clock, 11 o'clock. Here's bolt number 2. You're gonna skip 1 o'clock and go to 2 o'clock. Then you're gonna skip 4 o'clock and go to 5 o'clock. All right, so previously I thought it was this bolt. We're actually going down to the bolt down on the bottom, even worse. So right there is our other bolt. This is the bolt we're heading to. All right, so we've got the cover on and we're hitting, there's this little plastic piece right here. It's this holder, and it's hitting here. It's not allowing us to rotate this, so you'll see that our bolts are slightly off. This needs to rotate counterclockwise just a little bit more. So what I'm gonna do is, it's really just a hinge. I'm gonna take these shears and I'm just gonna trim off that piece right there, which is gonna allow me to then rotate this, and now everything aligns. All right, now that everything's aligned, we're gonna go ahead and hand start all of these covers. So go ahead and get all of the bolts started. And then we've got our torque wrench, and we're gonna torque everything down to 8 Newton meters. All right, we've got our little trusty torque wrench, and we're gonna go ahead and start with bolt number 1 right here and go to 8 Newton meters, then down to number 2 and 8 Newton meters. Number 3, 8 Newton meters, and then back up to the top, and we'll get 8 Newton meters out of this one. And then we're just gonna go all the way around and just make sure we are at 8 Newton meters all the way around. And that's it. You guys have your GB racing cover on the side here on the alternator side. So let's go ahead and head over to the other side and get the clutch cover mounted by Woodcraft. All right, well, with the fairings removed, we've got to remove one more piece, this plastic cover piece, to access all of the bolt holes. We are actually replacing this cover with the Woodcraft cover. It's got a cool little spot right here you'll see when we mount it, which actually mounts here. It's got a little slider in there that's replaceable, which is actually pretty cool. So let's go ahead and get these 2 bolts out and remove this cover. Then we've got about 6 8 millimeters that we're going to remove all the way around. Cover comes off, cover goes on. Pretty basic. You're probably going to spend more time removing all the fairings than you are actually replacing the cover. All right, so 2 bolts left here. So go ahead and remove bolt number 1 up top and bolt number 2. And of course, nothing goes as planned. These 2 do not remove the whole cover. The cover actually goes all the way up here. So we've got to get this bolt removed and a couple bolts, I think, up here and one back here to actually get this full cover, because you can see it actually goes all the way up and covers up into here. So a little bit of work to get this off, but let's go ahead and start removing bolts and start getting this pulled off. All right, so I think we have enough access that if we just pull this out, because, oh, there's another spacer, and another one. Oh, they're falling out from everywhere. And those all go on the back, of course. These are all in the back here. So just FYI, remember, these little spacers that are coming out are from the back here and here. And then, see, that goes there. So these are going here. And then this goes, it feeds all the way up. I don't want to remove all of this. So I think we've got enough room to access and pull this out and remove these bolts to get this cover off without having to actually remove this whole thing here. All right, 8 millimeter, let's go ahead and start removing these bolts. Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, and last but not least, number 6. Now with 6 removed, you're actually going to pull out this little bracket. Go Go ahead and keep these are all the same size, so that's perfect. So the bracket is what bolts this down, okay? So now we've got a loose cover, so what we're gonna have to do is get a little mallet and knock this thing loose right on the side. So we're gonna use a little rubber mallet just to get this thing popped off. Let's go ahead and move all of our bolts, get a towel down here, because I'm sure we're gonna get a little bit of oil leakage, but it shouldn't be too much. Everything should be down at the bottom. I would have recommended this at the beginning of the video. Let your bike sit overnight, let it nice and cool, and all the oil will be down in the pan instead of in here. So let's go ahead and get a mallet and just knock this loose. All right, so don't go crazy. You don't need to do much, just a couple little love taps. And I forgot my towel. So let's go ahead and get a towel for just that little bit of oil. All right, so let's get moving pretty quick. We're gonna reuse this green seal, okay? You're gonna have to pick this out. So what I would do is grab a little pick. Carefully, you guys, carefully. Get all the way underneath it and go ahead and pull this seal out. We're going to reuse this seal in the new cover. So go ahead and pull that out. Set the old cover aside. Grab the new cover. Actually, I'm gonna go ahead and clean this because you can see there's a little bit of debris in here. So let's go ahead and clean this off real quick. Grab a little bit of oil, lube it up. All right, so with the seal nice and clean, we're gonna go ahead and put it in the channel of the Woodcraft cover. So just lightly press it in. All right, so with the green seal inserted, and you will have to remember, you guys, you have to push the seal into the channel, okay? So a little bit of thumb strength here, but you're gonna push the seal all the way in, all the way around, and you're gonna see it's almost flush. It's just sticking out, but make sure you've got it all the way inserted all the way, okay? No kinks, no bulges, no anything. All right, so in your box with the Woodcraft, this is your little replacement slider. Now the replacement slider unfortunately mounts in from the back. So you're gonna take your cover here and you're gonna put your slider in the front side. Let's go ahead and mount the bolts, and then I'll show you what we're looking at. Now these little sliders have little rubber washers in all of the screws, okay? There's little rubber washers, and you can see real close in there, there's a little indentation for that little rubber washer to seal your cover plate. So go ahead and get those nice and snug. And there you go. So there's our little slider. So this is gonna protect, so if the bike goes down, the idea is that hopefully it just takes this off and you can only have to replace this instead of the whole cover. So now, rubber washers in, we pushed it. Guys, make sure you push it all the way in. Make sure that there's no lips, make sure that there's no bulges, and it goes all the way in. Then we're gonna go ahead and slide the cover into place. And we're gonna start taking our bolts and start working the 8mm back in. So we'll start kind of at the 11 o'clock and we'll start this and we'll go all the way around. Don't forget your bracket side is the 1 or almost 12, 1 o'clock and 3 o'clock bracket. So let's go ahead and just, no, I wanna line up everything before that. So go ahead, let's go this way. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're leaving all of these bolts kind of loose just to make sure that none of them tighten too much. So we're gonna hand tighten each one of these and make sure that everything is nice and snug. Now we'll go ahead and grab this one, line this one in. All right, and now we're gonna go ahead and hand snug each of the bolts just by hand. Make sure everything's seated in correctly. And now we're gonna grab our torque wrench and we're going to torque these down to 10 Newton meters. And once we've done it, we're gonna go around and just confirm that each bolt is set at 10 Newton meters. And that's it, you're done. All right, so now it's time to wrap this back up. Now remember, these two little spacers came out from the back here, and all of these little wires and cables have to be tucked into the little holder. There's a little holder back there that comes in. You're gonna have to grab these little washers, put them in the back, and then you can screw or nut. I think actually they're nuts. We're gonna go ahead and nut them back in. And then we've got a nut here, and then these two screws. All right, so everything's torqued up. We've got our bolts back in and our cover nice and secure. Remember, I couldn't find the torque spec for this, so I went just a little bit tighter than the other side at 8 Newton meters to do 10 Newton meters over here. I felt like it was decent, but if you guys know the right torque spec, please comment down below with the case cover, the clutch side, what the torque spec is, and I'll pin you guys up on top, so I appreciate that. So let's go ahead and take a final look at this and do an outro, and on to the brakes. Not too bad. We've got the GB Racing over here, which is just a cover over the existing. You could go with the GB on the other side, and I believe it's a cover as well, but we really like the Woodcraft look because it's exposed. This one you don't see because it's behind the fairing, so this one really didn't matter. Plus, we didn't really want to take this and unseal this side. So GB on here, real nice and easy. Remember, 8 Newton meters to torque it all down. And then onto the other side, for the Woodcraft side, see, it looks a lot better than just that GB case. So Woodcraft side, remember 8 to 10 Newton meters. Comment down below if you know the exact spec. And then everything here. And we are leaving this unfairinged because like I said, it is actually getting ready to go over to Steve tomorrow morning to have the exhaust put on. It is a full exhaust system, you guys. So stay tuned for that. But thank you guys for sticking around and hanging out with me in the garage. I would say half an hour to pull the fairings off and probably a half an hour to 45 minutes to put the covers on. Probably 30 minutes to put the fairings back on. So you're gonna probably be in the garage for about an hour and a half, 2 hours. You don't need a lift, you guys can do this on the side. Actually, what's really cool is if you had it on the side stand, it wouldn't have leaked any oil, by the way. So thank you guys for sticking around. Do the normal, hit the subscribe button, smash the like button, and then ring the bell notification. Bell notification is gonna give you future notification of future content here on the channel. Like, we're getting ready to do the brakes, you guys. The upper brake system is going on the V2, so stick around with that. And remember, we've got the exhaust coming on. Street Fighter has got a new exhaust for that. I'm gonna try to tackle that today. And then of course the S1000 single R has a full carbon fiber body going on. So stick around, but thank you guys, and we'll see you next video. Bye guys.